Describe what it was like for you the moment that you landed back on British soil.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين أما بعد. Knowing that I'm coming back to my family, it was truly hard to believe. Sitting in that aeroplane, thinking that definitely I'm going back. And I'm gonna see my wife and my kids. Sometimes I felt, maybe I'm just going somewhere else, maybe I'm not really going back to England. I didn't even move, just thinking about this moment, thinking how I'm gonna face it, thinking how I'm gonna be with the kids. And I couldn't come with any conclusion, how is it gonna happen? How is the first moment gonna happen? So I just decided that I'll just let it happen,
And when the plane touched down?
A lot of media there, but I don't know, but I feel I'm a very soft-hearted person, I cry so easy, and I'm proud of that. It was a lot easier on me when I saw myself just walking, touching the ground, breathing freedom again. I don't know how to really describe it, it's hard, it's just mixed emotions, it's something that I believe and I can't believe in the same time,
So even though you were back on British land, you still couldn't quite believe it?
It's hard, it's truly hard. It's hard to know what to feel. I mean, it's something we used to dream about, something we used to fight for and all that. When it happened, it's like, really, did it happen? Am I really home? And it's like, you got all this mixed feeling of crying, laughing, you just, like I told you, I just let it happen.
And seeing your wife and your children, including your youngest, who was born on the day that you were transferred to Guantanamo Bay. Give us an insight into that moment.
Actually, because I couldn't make it by myself to see the kids from the first time. So that's why I planned to see my wife only. Because I know I'm just gonna fall down and start crying. So I said it's the best thing just to do it with my wife, because she's gonna guide me through the whole thing. I know she needed help herself. So I thought, let me just see her herself, by herself. Let her be comfortable back again with me, knowing, what happened and how it happened. And I want to assure her that I did not neglect her. I didn't just let her go.
What were your first words to her?
I'm back.
What were her first words to you?
She was just crying, that's all. She was crying and then I started crying, that's all.
And then your children, tell us about that.
It was hard, It was really hard. I need to know who they are. I need to understand how they think, how they do things, what they feel about me. And I was just want to know what they are, how they are, what they do, And she was just guiding me through the whole thing, telling me a little bit of each one of them personality so I can be careful, what I'm saying, with them.
What was her advice to you then before you saw your children and met your youngest son for the first time?
The first thing she said, they love you so much and they've been fighting for your release so much. And she just told me, try to just relax and try to just be you, and they will assure you they will love you. But I'm scared, I'm a father who did not practice his fatherhood for 14 years. And I left them when they were little tiny kids, hugging them, carrying them all the time. I was famous with carrying all my 3 kids actually. And now they are grown up, And it was, even though it was a happy moment, but it was sad in the same time. Because he was happy that I've seen my kids again. But it was so sad that the feeling is not that they're my kids, They look at me and they're just trying to know who is this person, I don't know, but through their eyes, I feel like they're just looking at a stranger, you know.
Did they run to you? Did they hug you?
Not at all. Even though it's sad to say that, but I mean, they're teenagers, you know. They just stood there, you know.
What did you say?
I was the one who was running to them, you know.
You ran to them?
Yeah, and hugged them and cried, and they were just standing there still. But I said, thank God now things changed, even though it's been a month and a little bit more, but things change a little bit, and they start to realize that, you know, their dad loves them so much, and he's trying to do everything to comfort them, to be there for them. And they're coming along little by little.
Can I ask, how did you introduce yourself to the son you have never seen, your youngest?
You know, I've been asking myself when I was in Guantanamo every day, you know, how I'm gonna do it, what I'm gonna do with it, how I'm gonna make him, you know, understand that, you know, I love him as much as I love the others, and, you know, it wasn't my fault. The first thing is I start talking to them, and I told them, you know, I want you to understand that I did not leave you. We were separated. We were forcefully separated. And I don't want you to blame me or blame your mother of what happened, because truly it was, you know, we were victims of circumstances. And I still hope they understand that.
What effect, if it's possible to say, what effect do you think your 14-year detention has had on them?
I can't even understand how much that affected me. I'm very open, very sociable, and they're the opposite. And I was always thinking if I was there with them, they would have been a lot more open, more, you know, sociable. And I think because of that, because the way things happened, my incarceration was really too much for them, that they were scared to let anybody knows that their father is in Guantanamo. And in fact, the youngest one and the other one, he had problems in the school because they told him, your father is in jail, your father is a bad person. My daughters faced actually the same problem in her school. And it was hard for them to accept their father is bad. But in the same time, if he's not bad, why he's in jail? And I think that did affect them in the long run.
Can I ask about the moment at Guantanamo Bay when you were told you were being released?
Actually, I didn't know I was going to be released until 1 hour just before I was leaving. They said, you are leaving. But 10 days before that, they isolate me by myself in another camp to prepare me for leaving. In fact, it happened that I told them, either you tell me when I'm leaving or you send me back to my cell, because I can't take it. I can't just be living here and I don't know what's going to happen to me, because I'm isolated by myself again. So I told them, please, you know, give me some time. Let me know when I'm leaving so I can prepare myself, you know, I can feel that I'm going back home. But unfortunately, they refused to do that. Just 1 hour before I was leaving, they just came and said, get ready, you are leaving. Which is, like I told you, it's like, where? I said, how? They said, just get ready. I said, I'm leaving to another facility. They refused to answer you. Everything is secrecy in that place, everything.
We spoke to you via your lawyers just before your release from Guantanamo Bay, and you told us that when you arrived back, the first thing you wanted was a cup of coffee. How was it?
It was beautiful, because the coffee, they call coffee in Guantanamo, actually we call it jet fuel. Some people, they call it mud water. And, but we drink it, and I love coffee, you know, and I just wanted to have a good cup of coffee, you know. And it was beautiful, you know, just smelling the coffee, just taste a coffee. A real coffee it's overwhelming, you know. We intend to take advantage of everything when we are free and all that. But when you lose all these things in these kind of circumstances, you will understand how good these things is, how, you know, important to you, all these little things.
What is it that you're enjoying most about freedom now?
Freedom itself. Just to feel that you are free. Just to wake up and know that nobody is going to tell you what to do or how to do it. Just to wake up without knowing that you're going to be shackled in every step you take out of that cell. And I lost my freedom for 14 years.
I'm going to go back to 2001, if that's okay with you. Was pregnant, I think, and your 3 young children. You moved to Kabul. Why?
Okay, I know my answer is not gonna please a lot of people. Some people, they will be like wondering. But truly, I lived in this place for 5 years before I went to Afghanistan. I want you to understand that 4 years out of the 5 years I was homeless. You know. In the same time, the way my wife appeared, you know, wearing a full niqab, the way I am, with wearing a turban on my head, you know, wearing an Islamic dress, walking around, obviously you can see this guy is, you know, a very practicing Muslim. It was hard. It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. It was hard because people talk and say rubbish things about you, about your wife. Eyes chasing you everywhere you go.
That's how you felt in London?
That's how I felt.
So why did you move to Kabul?
I want to be with people like I feel like I belong to. I want to feel like I'm normal, just like everybody else is doing the same thing, you know.
But under the Taliban?
You know, under the Taliban at that time, I think it wasn't that horrible. Nothing as the media was talking about in that time.
But you have girls. I mean, they didn't want girls to be educated.
This is actually one of the reasons why I went there, because there was a girls' school, and there is a school that we helped to open, and we were willing to open other schools, and nobody was against it. Everybody was happy that we are helping to open schools for kids and for girls to study.
We were always led to understand you moved to Afghanistan at that time to work for a charity. Is that not accurate?
It's not work for a charity, truly, because the money in this country equivalent to Afghanistan is a big money, you know. Even if you have a little money here, it's considered a big amount in Afghanistan. And you can do a lot. You can do a lot. You can
so you weren't working.
Yes, I was doing charity work.
Right.
I was doing charity work. It wasn't an official charity as documented. It's a charity that they're doing that, and no, it was our own way of helping that society by doing our own things that we know we are good at. Especially, like I told you, when we know that they need these things, you know. The most sad things I found in Afghanistan truly is the kids running around in the streets without having a school. And when you know how much it costs just to open a school, it's nothing. It's very little. And it's sad. Until today, when you look at Afghanistan, there is a lot of kids running in the streets. They are willing to spend millions of pounds of dollars to build streets, but they're not willing to spend little money to keep those kids in school, which is more important for me than these roads and those streets that they are building.
Then 9/11 happened. Sometime before Christmas, you were captured by the Northern Alliance, which is a group of fighters who were anti the Taliban, and you say they tortured you. Can you tell us about the kind of torture you received at their hands?
Well, I wasn't captured really, because captured that I was in a battlefield fighting, and somehow they captured me there. But that's not the reality about most of people in Guantanamo. And this is very important for you to understand. There was no capturing, there was no fighting, actual fighting with a lot of people. It was a business. It was a business. We got sold many times, you know. In the beginning of the war, everybody was running, looking for a shelter, looking for somewhere to be safe, so he can get out of Afghanistan. And my wife and me got separated from each other without even my knowledge. And the people she was living in their house at that time they sent her without my knowledge. When I came back to pick her up, she's already gone.
Gone where?
Gone to Pakistan. That's my understanding. She could have been still in that house. In fact, I was standing looking at the house. Should I just walk inside and scream, calling her name? Because really, I don't know. And I was standing there. Is he telling me the truth, or maybe my wife is there? Maybe she will be sold somewhere.
And in the hands of the Northern Alliance, what did they do to you?
You know, when I end up getting sold from the village where I was after Afghanistan fell down, then I got sold again from Jalalabad to Kabul. Then Kabul is the Northern Alliance. They were controlling that city. And for a whole 2 weeks, all what they've been doing is just take you outside and beat you with cables, with sticks, and just accuse you of killing their leaders. They didn't even ask questions. They don't want to know nothing. It's just a total revenge, you know. You killed our leader and we're gonna kill you all. And truly, I didn't understand what should I say to them to let them understand. I just got here. I've been here only 2 months, you know. But in the end, I find out that they just want me to say one thing and they will let me go.
What was the one thing?
They said I did work with Bin Laden and, you know, I'm with the Qaeda.
And you said it?
And I said it, definitely, and it was filmed.
Why did you say it?
Because of the torture.
Was it true?
No, definitely it's not true. And, you know, I wish I can find that film again.
2 days later, you were in American custody. You'd been sold by the Northern Alliance.
I've been kidnapped by the Americans.
The Northern Alliance sold you to the US?
Yeah, sold me, and then they kidnapped me. It wasn't official. Nothing was official about how we've been handed over to the Americans.
And you were taken to Bagram airfield, and I think initially you expected the Americans to treat you well.
Yes.
As soon as you arrived, you say abuse by US soldiers began. For example, you were taken to a concrete room and ordered to remove your clothes.
Yes.
Can you tell us about that?
Which is, I mean, for a man from a very, very strict society when it comes to nudity and, you know, a lot of people, they don't understand. When we are like 3 years old, that's it. After 3 years old, nobody will ever see you naked, because that's when the time when you learn how to go to the toilet by yourself. And then a man who's 40 years old or 38 years old at that time, you know, get ordered to strip naked in front of a lot of men and women and soldiers. And I mean, if you are really worried that I carry something underneath me, I mean, you can feel me, you can see that I'm not carrying nothing. But actually they were doing it for the sake of humiliation, so for the sake of breaking me. Even though I was, at that time, I was really looking at them and like, hey, you know, I'm not the bad guy, you know. Yes, I'm here, but you will hear my story very soon and you will know I had nothing to do with anything.
And you were expected, I think, to use the toilet in front of these people who were pointing guns at you.
Actually, that was another incident that happened. After 25 days, I used the toilet, by the way.
After 25 days?
25 days. That's the first time I used the toilet, and it was the most horrible time I used the toilet, because I wish I didn't even go to the toilet at that time. But we were doing it like animals. They pull your trouser down, and there is a big hole in the ground, and there is 2 doors. The hangar doors itself is being set on the holes, and there is a small gap. And all of them, they're just sitting there laughing, joking with their M16 facing you from the 2nd floor, then the 1st floor, 2 guards sitting there, and they're just talking and saying rubbish things about your private parts while you are just sitting there. And there is no water, nothing whatsoever. They give you a small toilet paper, you know, those comes in the MREs, the ready meal. They're small, and that's all. You just have to wipe yourself with it. No praying, no nothing, no washing up. And we have to end up just making something called tayammum, you know, just on the dust, because we have no water to wash up ourselves to pray. And it was so much humiliation that you feel like they deprived you from your humanity, which is something didn't happen with the Northern Alliance.
Alongside humiliation, you say there was beating, and in particular, something called walling. Tell us about that.
Walling is just a basic way of smacking your heads on the wall, that's all. I'm sitting on a chair, and there's all these interrogators around you. As I said, you know, could be 8, 10. The room is small, and it's so crowded. And behind me there was a concrete wall. And from getting all those questions left and right, and I couldn't understand why they keep asking without listening to me what I'm saying, you know. And I assume during that time, that's when somebody grabbed my head and just smacking it to the wall behind me, just back and forth. And all what I'm trying to do is resist, you know, hitting back, but I was in shackled, and all what happened is just my head smacking the wall behind me, smacking the wall, back and forth, back and forth. And then suddenly my head is just down, and I'm just, my eyes is closed, and I'm just, thinking what's going on, because all that, my vision, I'm sure, is, I can't even see what's going on because everything is, my mind is running around. And as soon as I open my eyes, there is nobody in the room. Everybody's out.
But the moment of impact?
It's just pain after pain. I just, and all what I'm trying to do is protect my head, I'm trying to pull back. And all what I feel, boom, back again, And like I told you, it's not like you can even think about it. It's all what you can think about is how to save your head from blowing up. It's just how to protect your head from keep smacking back and forth. And I resist going back, and I just found myself bang again. And you're talking about a man who's hunger striking, who's really weak, who's tired, not sleeping, nothing, disordered in every way of that meaning. I can't even think straight what's happening around. And like I told you, as soon as I open my eyes, is nobody in the room except the two guards by the door standing there with their guns. And everybody's outside and the gun on the table. And I was just sitting there looking at it, looking at the guards, looking at the gun, looking at the guards, thinking about what the hell would they want, And they sat me down, the wall behind me, and they start talking to me, all of them at the same time. One guy with a French accent, one guy with an English accent, another guy with a Russian accent, and then two guys, which is the one who have my case, the American. One of them is he called himself Tony, and the other one is John. And some other people sitting, and they just asking questions. They don't even want to wait for that answer. They don't want to even know the answer. And I was like, why are they asking if they don't want to hear the answer?
Give me an example of the kind of questions you were being asked.
Everything.
Like?
Everything. And they kept going for 2-3 hours doing the same thing. And suddenly, truly, I can't even understand what happened. I can't even, because I was so messed up. I felt my head boom, 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 banging the wall. And all what I remember, that my head is just keep banging in the wall, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And all what I hear is shouting, 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 shouting. And then when I went my head down and I just closed my eyes, and I opened my eyes, there is nobody in the room. No one in the room, except the guards who were sitting by the door of the room with their guns and all that, just looking at me. And I didn't understand what's wrong with these people. Next time they took me to the interrogation, in the same day, I said, send me back. Send me back to the Northern Alliance. He looked at me and said, you serious? I said, yes. He said, they will kill you. I said, I don't mind. I'd rather to die than be humiliated and be tortured like this.
Are you adamant that there was an English officer, intelligence officer, agent in that room when your head was being beaten against that wall?
I will say 80-90%. I have no doubt he's an Englishman, because the way he spoke, the way he's very careful, the way he was sitting far away looking at me, and because the day before I met John, who already told me I'm with the MI5 intelligence service and I came to ask you a few questions. So I have no doubt he was an Englishman, the way he spoke to me. The questions they ask, and this is the sad thing about why I believe that a lot of harm happened to me because of this issue, because of what is being told about me. But this is, for me, this is not the time to talk about it. But I know there is an involvement, British involvement in this issue.
Did this English intelligence officer take part in the violence against you?
No.
Did he make any attempt to stop what was happening to you?
No.
Could he have done?
Yes. Indeed, they can.
If what you have said is true, then he was complicit.
Or maybe he's unable to do anything, because I hear it from others, not from him, not from John himself, but I hear it from others that, listen, this is all totally Americans.
But you just said he could have intervened.
Yeah, he could.
What else would British agents be aware of in terms of your treatment at Bagram?
Everything. I think they know everything.
So the way you were held, the fact that you were in cages, the freezing temperatures, the water being thrown upon you, the humiliation,
isolated by
the
myself.
violence.
Because one thing about me, that I've been isolated from the first day I arrived. I was by myself in a cage, by myself all the time, and most of the time standing up 18 hours a day, 16, 18 hours a day, every day awake, and every day standing up, sometimes with my hands out, and you cannot miss me. You cannot miss, because you see the way the construction is, the hangar has 2 doors, and where I am, no way you can go to the back or come to the office where is the interrogation without passing by me. You can't. You have to.
So British intelligence officers would have seen you?
Definitely, they have to see me. They can't not to see me.
So do you believe then the then British government knew that people like you were allegedly being treated like that?
Honestly, I don't want to say government here.
What would you say?
Because I don't think it's really something to do with the government as much. I think it's the intelligence service, which is totally, for me, different than government. Because I've seen what the government did for me in the last years. I mean, they really, I believe they really, truly, they try to help me out.
After the walling, my understanding is the room was left empty and you were told to tell the truth or you would die, and a gun was left on a table in front of you.
Yes.
What did you think telling the truth meant, and what was the gun for, do you think?
You know, the first thing, when they left the gun behind, I knew it's one of the two. Either I'm gonna grab the gun and try to kill myself because of the situation I was in, and I was just gonna end up doing it to myself and kill myself, or either they want me to touch the gun, and then they got strict order by the guards that to shoot me because he's trying to, you know, do something to the guards or try to harm somebody. And I was just kept my eyes on the gun, just looking at it and thinking. I said, no, I'm not gonna even, you know, touch that gun. I'm not gonna even do nothing, because regardless, you know, just ignore it. Just think it's not there. Even though from inside the temptation is great, you know, just end it up, you know, just end yourself here, because this is it. But I resisted that feeling. I resisted that, hey, neither, because I will never harm anybody. And truly, I can't.
And did they say to you, tell the truth?
Yeah, but,
or you will die?
But the whole thing is, I told them the truth. But the truth that I've been telling them is not the truth they want to hear. It's not about the truth, I told you. Because if anybody wants to the truth, he have to listen to you. But how he wants the truth if he's not even listening to your answer?
So what do you think they wanted you to say?
They just want somebody to victimize. They just want a black sheep. They want somebody to say yes, and he did it, and he said it, and he agreed that he did it.
Said what?
So
what did
that
they want you to say?
He's with Bin Laden. Because I believe that video that is being filmed, that I said I'm with Bin Laden, I think that one made a big thing on the American to think that I'm a big guy.
You don't remember telling them you worked with Al Qaeda?
No, not at all. But I remember telling them one thing. I said, listen, if you want me to tell you I worked with Bin Laden, I will tell you that. If you want me to tell you that, hey, you know the Second World War? He said, yeah. I said, you know who's behind it? He said, yeah, we know. I said, no, you don't know. It's me. And then he looked at me and he said, what, you trying to mock me here? I said, no. You just want to hear anything. So I'm telling you whatever you want to hear. I will tell it to you to stop. But like you said, it's not going to be stopping, because they're really just looking for somebody to blame.
Mm. And you signed a statement too, saying you worked with Bin Laden?
No, I didn't. That's another lie. I never signed anything from the day I was kidnapped until the day I left Guantanamo. I did not sign a single paper.
There were threats against your family during that time. One particular interrogator, I understand, threatened to sexually assault your then 5-year-old daughter.
Yes, that was in Kandahar, actually, and that was the hardest thing. That's the hardest thing that I ever heard.
What did he say?
That guy, he called himself actually Sally, and I think it's the worst experience ever I lived in my life at that time, because I was in a tent for 10 days, starving, no water, no nothing. And Sally used to play me on, sometimes he cared for me by taking me out of the tent, sitting me with the guards, heating my food for me and giving it to me to eat. And another day, he will stick me inside the table, the desk, in that small space where the chair is, and 3 or 4 of them, they will just beat the desk with the big chairs everywhere, left and right. And they beat me from my side, but it does not hit me directly. And he will be so horrible. And that's one of the time when he told me that your wife and your daughter is with us. And you know, if you don't start talking, we will rape your daughter. And you will hear her crying, "Daddy, Daddy." That was completely, inhumane. It was worse than the beating, it was worse than everything. Just thinking of my daughter, And I just sat there, silent completely. And 3-4 days I didn't say a word. Then he came back again and he tried to be Mr. Nice. And he started to come again and say, "Hey, we're trying to help you here. So you don't know how to feel, you don't know anything, You don't know, you want to hate him or you want to love him or you want to kill him. What do you want to do with him? You don't know." Because I think that's a part of the interrogation. That's what they've been doing. And 4 hours, after 4 hours. One interrogator goes, the other interrogators comes, 4 hours, after 4 hours. And it's just on and on and on and on. And you don't know, is it going to end? But I felt that time is that it will never end, I will die before it ends. And really I felt like I was going to die before this is going to end. But what I'm trying to say here is no way I can be under all this and they don't know about it. They cannot see it, Because clearly, I'm in the middle of the hangar and by myself in a cage, and anybody will pass by or look from far away, even from outside of the hangar, he can see there is somebody there who's been standing for all this time, getting mistreated, getting all the, whatever they call it, the hog stye and all that. And you can see it clearly. Because when I went there, I was only 5 people were there. Me and 4 others. That's all. And I was by myself.
At Bagram too, a Libyan man called Ibn al-Sheikh al-Libi was held there at the same time as you. What did you witness about the way he was treated?
Yes, it is correct. But I want you to understand that truly the whole thing about Ibn al-Sheikh al-Libi and the circumstances around this issue is a very critical now at this time. And there is a lot of things I cannot talk about yet until, I know exactly the effect of what I've seen and, what I witness is not going to jeopardize my security and my safety in this place. So let's leave it to another time.
And the hog tying, can you describe what that means? Because people won't be familiar with it.
Anyway, they use the plastic cuffs, So what they do, they tie your hands and they tie you from the back, and then they tie your hand from here and they push it all the way back, and then they bring your leg and they tie it to your hand. So you'll be curved. So literally you will be on the stomach on the ground. So if you want to relax a little bit, to feel the pain release a little bit, is you have to push yourself back. You have to curve yourself more to the back so you don't get too much pressure on your hands and your legs. But if you try to relax, so you are punishing yourself by relaxing. As soon you relax, you push yourself down. That's mean more pressure on the wrist, more pressure on the legs, and then the pain, and then you have to go back. But you come to a stage where you can't. You have to drop. You have to just let it happen. And that's when it cuts you. It cuts your wrist because it has, those cuffs, it has those teeth inside, from inside. It's plastic. So it cuts your hand and you start bleeding. And the more you relax, the more it goes on eating against your skin, with the legs and with the thing. In fact, in my leg, I still have the mark. It didn't go away totally because of it.
Could we see it?
I mean, I don't know, I hope it's still there, but even though it's not that easy, but you can see the leftover of the mark here.
That's where you say the cuffs
Yeah, because
dug into you.
because when you pull yourself, they go up and they tighten up, and that's when they start rubbing like a saw against the skin. Once upon a time, it was so deep inside. It was so deep that the whole thing is inside the skin. The whole plastic thing is inside, and they won't even treat you. They won't even put anything anti-septic or something to not get it infected. In the same time, I had some frostbite because of the freezing weather, and we have nothing to wear, no shoes, no nothing. And I believe it's a part of the torture. They want you to suffer all this pain, so you talk and you tell them whatever they want to hear.
Would you like to see the then Prime Minister Tony Blair, the then Foreign Secretary Jack Straw held to account for what you say happened to you at that time?
The only thing I really would like to happen is for Tony Blair and for whoever in the government at that time is to tell the truth, just like I'm telling the truth to the world. The only goal I have at this time is to stop what's happening, which is still happening, which is Guantanamo. The only thing I want is nobody will do it again to anybody else, regardless. Because we are human beings, even if we did something wrong. Those people in Guantanamo, they are human beings. Even if the whole world think they did something wrong, they should be tried like human beings. They should be treated like human beings because they are not fighting anymore. They just locked up. So why not treating them like human beings?
Do you believe Tony Blair knew what was going on at Bagram at that time?
Oh, definitely, definitely. They know, all of them, they know what they were doing. Because, I mean, if these guys at the head of the state, they don't know, who's supposed to know?
After Bagram, you were moved to Kandahar in Afghanistan. Did the same treatment continue?
Actually, it's worse. It's a lot worse.
In what way?
First of all, when I get to Kandahar, they have something called welcoming party, where they really beat you up so bad while you are still on the concrete on the airport before even they move you to the, check you and process your case and know who you are, and which it did not happen. The same thing like in Bagram, where they put you in a square. But that's it. They put you in a square, they talk to you, and then after that they beat you something to wear, and then they put you in a cage. In Kandahar, it wasn't like that. It was totally beating up. The kids there, I call them kids because they were kids. They were all young, and they've been brainwashed big time. And
these are US soldiers?
Yes, yes. And they were given the right to do anything they want. And that's, you're talking about 25 of us. That shipment was like 25 people in there. And we all just laying face down at 2 o'clock in the morning. And all what happened is just beating up with the M16, jumping on your back, kick your head with their boots and all that. And they carry doing it all the way until the time come when they bring you inside, which is sometime early in the morning. Some of us went early, in the beginning. For me, I got a good share of the beating because I was from the last one who's entered the tent to be processed. Plus, I spoke good English, which has made it horrible on me because there was a guy laying next to me and they were doing horrible things to him with the M16.
What? Can I ask what?
They're trying to shove the M16 behind in his backside. And the guy is screaming. He said, I'm not a woman. Why are you doing this to me? Why are you trying to do this? And he was so sad. He was so upsetting. And I wasn't laying down. And then I said, I have to do something, So I start speaking in English. I said, guys, please, this guy is saying this to you, this guy. And as soon as they hear me speaking in American accent English, straight away they all lift what they have in their hand and they just came back to me. And they start shouting, he's a traitor, he's a traitor. And I just had it, left and right. In fact, it's documented it. As soon as I arrived in Guantanamo, my kidney was bleeding. And it's been documented in my medical file. And I thought I will never live that day. Until a black woman, she was sitting and I can hear her talking, but not trying to show that she have any sympathy. She said, "Oh, come on, guys, please. He had enough. Come on, guys. Just give him a little bit of time. Come on. You've been, beating him so much." And I felt that woman, she feels sorry for me, but she doesn't want to show that to them because, I'm supposed to be the bad guy. And they did it for 2-3 hours. And truly, that's one of the times where I felt like I'm not going to live that night. I'm not going to survive that night. I was just, saying, mentioning my God, praying that, this is my last, minutes, that's it,
How did you survive?
I don't know. Truly, I don't know. I promise you, I don't know. But I survived it somehow. I thought, I would have gone crazy long time ago, especially when it's the sleep deprivation. All the noise, with all the music you hear, with all the shouting in your head, and you hear people talking and all the time in my ear. And I was like, are they doing something? Are they having something recorded behind me or something, so it makes me... Because I thought this voice is coming from the outside. But one time I met the doctor there and he said, no. And he was so happy about it. He said, no, you are hallucinating. I said, what does that mean? He said, you're going crazy very soon.
Again at Kandahar, more threats, I understand, to sexually assault your daughter.
He came one day and he said, we have your wife and your daughter. And I looked at him and I said, what are you talking about? He said, we found your wife and we found your daughter and we have them. And if you don't start talking, you know what can happen. And I was like, truly, I was shocked. I mean, no way these guys, they're going to do something like this. But then when he started describing what he's going to do to my daughter and all that, that's when I shut completely. I shut down completely. Not a single word after that.
Did you genuinely believe that they had your wife and daughter in custody?
Yes. Because I genuinely believe that I didn't even know at the time when I separated from my wife, she is safe or she's in that house or she got sold. So anything could have been. She could have been anywhere. She could have been sold to the American just like I got sold. And I just shut down. I didn't speak to anybody after that for 3-4 days.
At Kandahar, were British intelligence officers there too?
Yes.
What did they witness?
I think they know what's happening. But when he came and talked to me, he just came for a few minutes, that's all. He just asked me if I'm willing to talk to him. And I answered him basically, are you going to help me? He said, no. I said, if you're not going to help me, why should I talk to you? He said, fine. And he was in a military clothes and wearing a beret. And he's gone, that's it.
And did he witness the treatment you say you got?
He saw me on the floor, on the dust. He saw how miserable I'm living. I'm sure he noticed how tired I am and sleepless. But
did he take part in any?
No. I don't.
Mistreatment of you?
No, nothing at all.
I'd like to read to you a list of claims that the US made against you, all of which come from the official US Department of Defense file from November 2007, which concluded, as you know, that you were high risk, as you were likely to pose a threat to the US, its interests, and its allies.
Can I ask one thing?
Of course.
Let's say all these allegations is true. Let's say that they were telling the world the truth about me. How come they cleared me? How come after 6 years I was in there, yet George Bush government cleared me? None of the allegation is true they've been saying about me.
You were an Al-Qaeda operative, they said.
Not at all. Prove it. All what I say, prove it. Prove anything that you said that is true. Prove it. Prove it to the world.
You held a senior position in a UK-based Al-Qaeda cell. Again,
allegations.
You were a close associate of Osama Bin Laden.
Wow. Keep going. When? How? Where is the evidence? Where is the British intelligence at that time? 5 years I've been living in this country. How come an operative for Bin Laden working in London and they didn't even know about it?
You never communicated with him?
At all.
You never met him?
Definitely. And if the British say otherwise, So why didn't you give it to the American to prove that I was communicating with him? I was translating for him. Translating in what, where? How? It has to be something, a phone call or something like that.
Another accusation, you were an Al-Qaeda recruiter, financier, facilitator with a history of participating in jihadist combat.
Definitely, because that's why I was homeless for 4 years.
Are you saying no to the
No,
accusation?
definitely no.
Commander of Al-Qaeda forces in the mountains of Tora Bora in Afghanistan.
I have never been trained, neither have I never been in any camps.
That while you were in Bosnia in the mid-90s, you met Baba Aamer, who was later sentenced to 12 years in the US for being behind a website which supported terrorism.
In fact, I was with Baba Ahmed yesterday, last night. I see him after 15 years. He came last night to visit me. And I will tell you one thing. Yes, I met him in Bosnia. But we all doing what everybody was proud to do at that time, is help the Bosnian people. And I did help them. And I was working for a charity which is called Ihya al-Turath, which is heritage revival. And I'm proud of it. And I'm still going to be proud of it. And if something like this happened, I think all of us, we should be proud of helping people like that. And we shouldn't be ashamed of it. And that doesn't mean that I did anything wrong.
Did you fight in Bosnia in the mid-90s?
No, I didn't.
That whilst living in Brixton in London, you lived with Zacharias Moussaoui, the only terrorist to be convicted for his part in 9/11.
I never lived in Brixton anyway.
Did you live with Zacharias Moussaoui?
No, I didn't. And if I know Zakaria, if that Zakaria they're talking about because of the mosque issue, because I pray in different mosques all the time. And the way I am, I'm friendly with everybody. And I promise you, I will talk to anybody regardless. I told you, I don't ask people what they do, who they are, you know.
But you knew him?
Truly, it could be because I meet a lot of people in Brixton Mosque. We sit there, we have as you call halaqa, which is a circle. People sit there and talk and discuss issues about Islam, about things and all that, which is normal. Anybody can be there. Anybody can be there. But it does not make me the bad guy. You know, it's what I did. It's not whom I know.
The file goes on to say you had links to well-known British jihadis like the Jordanian cleric Abu Qatada, like Abu Hamza, former imam at the Finsbury Park Mosque in London.
I don't know Abu Hamza truly, and I will be lying if I say I know him. You know, I know of him because he was in the mosque. Abu Qatada, I used to pray in his place. I used to sit and listen to his speeches. And I know he's not a bad guy. That's exactly what I know. I know he's not a bad guy, and he's not somebody horrible as they say he is.
Described by a Spanish judge as Osama Bin Laden's right-hand man in Europe.
I don't know about that. But according to my own knowledge, he got nothing to do with Bin Laden, and he never preached about him in his circles, and he never encouraged anybody to go to Afghanistan. And that's why I think there is a big mistake.
And one final one from that Department of Defense file. You admitted, it says, that you associated with the convicted shoe bomber Richard Reed.
Lies. By Allah, I don't even know who's Richard Reed. Even when I hear the name, I don't know what's Richard Reed. Who's Richard Reed? I mean, I never even knew about this name. I mean, it's for me, it sounds like a Western name. You know, some white guy or something. Which is till today, I don't know who's even this guy. I even haven't seen anything about him because...
He attempted to put explosives in his shoe and get on a
Yeah, but I don't know anything about him or who is he.
This Department of Defense file containing those accusations against you came out in November 2007. That was several months after you'd been cleared for release by the Bush administration.
Amazing, isn't it?
So what do you think was going on?
It's amazing. I mean, I just leave the audience to think about it. I mean, these allegations came after they cleared me, you know, and yet, what did they find out? That after they cleared me, they found that out?
So what do you think was going on then?
Because of the amount of the knowledge I have. Because the more I talk, which is I'm a talker, I'm a man who will never keep anything secret. I speak my heart, and I'm not scared truly to say everything I know. And the more they knew what I know, the more they got scared. The more they knew I'm linked to many issues they don't want the world to know about it, the more they want to keep me in Guantanamo. And I can't even tell the world exactly everything they did because it's scary sometimes. It is scary. After 14 years, I know They can fabricate anything. They can do something to harm me. They can intimidate me. They can do a lot of things. You're talking about a government here. You're not talking about individual. And it's a scary thought to be back again to jail or back again to the horrible situation I've been in before.
On Valentine's Day in 2002, you were transferred to Guantanamo Bay. You didn't know it at the time. It was the day your youngest son was born. Did you have any idea of what to expect at Guantanamo Bay?
I just have a general idea. So I expected, really, what I was expecting is, Guantanamo is going to be a very short time. Months, 2, 3 months, maximum 6 months. And, I'm going to go back home. That's it.
And the first few days?
For a few days, I knew this is a lot worse than what I expected, because they told us we're going to be treated good. They told us that, in Guantanamo, you're going to have Geneva Convention, things like that. So, good weather, because it was freezing in Afghanistan. They said, it's going to be a warm weather, it's going to be nice. So we thought, okay, we're going to go now, and we're going to be dealt with as human being, Nobody can do anything wrong to you, because, you are in American facility. You are with the Americans now. I mean, it's a war zone in Afghanistan, so you can say, okay, because of they're worried, they're scared, but in Guantanamo is going to be just normal facility, you're going to keep you there, respectful, everything. But I was shocked. The first day I was shocked. Not the first day, the first second I arrived, because the first thing they tell you when they drag you, they don't even allow you to walk. They drag you on your feet. They just drag you, pulling you, and your feet hit the stairs and all that, and they just on the bus, and they said, this is the end. This is the end of your life. You will never leave this place again. And then they tie you to the bus in the ground with the chain in your hand. They tie you with your legs, and then they start hitting you left and right. Even though it was in that dark time, in that dark moment of getting beaten up left and right, I laughed a little bit, because something happened funny. A guy came and he just kicked me with his foot, with his boots.
This is a US guard?
Yeah, he hit me so bad with his boots. So I went back and came forward. And after that, I felt he's going... He was cleaning the boots mark. And I was like, if you are scared to hit me, why you hit me, And I was like smiling with myself. I said, this idiot, he hit me so bad, and then he's cleaning, where is the hit is, so nobody can see it. But actually after that, we came to, as the whole scenery, you've seen it in the media, where we are standing on our knees. They don't allow us to sit. They don't allow us. We have to be on our knees. And they keep shouting, on your knees, on your knees. And I was, in fact, I was asking a few days, I said, do you believe this? They allow these pictures to come out? They said, no. Actually, at that time, they were not careful. There's people actually taking shots and all that, and they didn't have any restriction. That's why that picture came about, which shows.
You mean detainees on their knees
on
in the
knees
jumpsuits?
with the cover, with the head. That's where we, as soon you come from the bus, that's where they put you, on the gravels, on your knees, standing on your knees, and you are covered, and you are not allowed to sit down or do anything else but stay on your knees. As soon you sit or you try to relax, then they come and, bash you, or they come and pull you up and stay on your knees. Then I realized it's not what they told us back in Kandahar, that Guantanamo will be okay.
How would you describe it?
The closest thing for my mind, is Harry Potter story, because I read it. They got an island in Harry Potter, it says Azkaban, where there's no happiness. They just suck all your feelings out of you, and you don't have no feeling anymore. And truly, that's how I felt all the time. This is Azkaban. This is not from this world, because that's what they tried. They want to make you feelingless. They want to deprive you from everything, anything, even this feeling of belonging to something, or this is my cell. You can't even say this is my cell. You can't, because they keep making you do things inside the cell that against your will.
FCE stands for forced cell extraction.
Yes.
In terms of the kind of interrogation you received at Guantanamo Bay, can you describe that for us?
Again, I said, you know, they really not looking for the truth. They're not looking for answers, you know. They're just looking to blame you on something, regardless if you are telling the truth. As soon they see you, you know, giving them some answers that, you know, it shows you that you are a human being, they won't accept it.
But what are they asking you?
You know, one of the incidents really, I can't forget, I cannot, because I don't know much about 9/11. Truly, I don't know much about it. I don't know, you know, what happened there, truly. So for me, it's just like, okay, two building collapse, you know. And one day I was in the interrogation, and the interrogator brought a book, and it has all scenery from 9/11. And then he kept opening, you know, one page after another page. And then suddenly he stopped on a page where somebody jumped from all the way up, God knows, 100th floor or something, and he's jumping, running away from the fire. So I looked at it, and in my mind, I mean, the guy is gonna get killed by fire, but he knows when he jumps, he's gonna get killed anyway. So I start crying. And he looked at me, he couldn't believe it. He's crying. So he grabbed that huge book, and he just picked it up and smacked it on the table. And he looked at me, you crying? You did this? I said, I didn't do nothing, man. Why do you think I did that? And that's why I felt they really, you know, they don't want to even believe you are a human being. They don't want you to feel that, yeah, I'm just a man with feelings, you know, just like you. But they don't want to believe that. And when they get to these moments where you show them that you have feelings just like them, they hate it because they know what they are doing to you.
How did these interrogations at Guantanamo differ to what happened to you, you say, at Bagram and Kandahar?
In Guantanamo, they were more careful. It's more discreet. It's more, you know, all the method of the torture in Guantanamo is totally, has a, like I told you, like a cover-up for it. With certain groups, they are willing to cover everything, and nobody will even see them and talk to them, because these guys, they just work nights. And one of those groups, I remember, they call him 94. So they can practice all this torture, they practice all this humiliation, because themselves, they feel like, you know, like we are the people who done it, so let's just take revenge.
What was going on at night to you?
First off, they have the interrogation room, which is, they have a building, they call it gold building, because they have silver, they have gold, they have brown.
And you called it what?
I used to call it cold building, because if you see the building in the old time, it has a fridge door, you know, those big freezers, and for the reason to keep all the cold inside. And they used to drag you there. The air condition is full blast 24 hours there, and there is a lot of equipment, you know, the music and things there, and they just stick you inside one of these rooms, which is freezing cold, and they just tie you on the ground, and you will be sitting there for one day, 36 hours, 24 hours, and they will never allow you to go to the toilet. In the beginning, we held ourselves, but in the end, we couldn't, because you can't, you have, so we start doing it on ourselves. So they realized that, and then the place got stunk, they got so bad. Then they said no more, you know, they have to take him back to go to the toilet, because they cannot afford to, because they have to be also with us in the room sometimes.
Is it true that you and other detainees, after a period of time, would automatically get diarrhea when you were told you were about to be interrogated?
Till now it happens. And I don't think it will change in a very short time.
Even now,
today, in this morning, because I know I'm gonna see you, I got diarrhea since 4 o'clock in the morning until now. And that's why I refuse to eat, because once you feel there is something is gonna happen, or you know, you have something going on, you get worried. And once you get worried, you start having diarrhea, because you don't know how long you're gonna be disappear, how long you're gonna go for that without a toilet. So somehow our mind worked it out that as soon you hear that you're going somewhere, or you're gonna meet an interrogator, which is, I'm not saying that you are an interrogator, but it makes you feel like that's it. I have to go to the toilet, finish, and get rid of everything in my stomach. And it happens so many times. So when you go and have interrogation, you will be sitting there for hours, hours and hours. You don't need to ask for toilet.
You said in a Met statement in 2013 that you were visited 3 times in Guantanamo Bay by British intelligence officers.
Yes, through the whole years.
Sure, I understand. Yeah. Were they involved while the interrogations were going on?
No.
What did they see of the way you were treated?
They just know about it. As I told you last time, just about the guy whose name is John. And truly, he told me, I know what they are doing to you. We know. But I promise you one thing. When you come back to England, you will know we are not like them. Which has made me feel so good. It made me feel so happy. And that was the first time, you know, somebody really, I felt he's sympathizing with me. Because the other 2 times, they were just coming to interrogate me.
What kind of things were they asking you?
About London, about the brothers here, who I know, who so-and-so, who so-and-so. And
you have described torture as a way of life, 24/7 at Guantanamo Bay,
yes.
A world of mental and physical destruction.
Indeed.
Explain to our audience what forced cell extraction involved.
You know, forced cell extraction is for a lot of people, it's okay, 6 guards come inside, take you outside. But this is not really, this is not how it is. It's not just that. Because it's like, it's been, the whole program in Guantanamo is being designed by psychologists, by people, they know how to manipulate you, how to make you get scared because of whatever you did, this is what's going to happen. And that's why they do it in a certain way, in a very special way. So the guard come and ask you for very little thing, like a pack of salt that he didn't find in the meal. Where is the pack of salt? You're not supposed to keep it. And maybe you didn't even have the pack of salt. And you tell him, maybe I don't have it. I didn't get salt. Where am I going to bring it to you from? He said, give me the pack of salt. He said, I don't have it. And then, like I told you, they start coming. There is like 6 guards. And you will find yourself 15, 17 people coming towards you, while all these guards from the beginning of the tier of the block marching with big, you know, heavy steps, doof, doof, doof. And you'll be waiting, oh my God, you know, and everybody shouting, they are coming, because, you know, they want you to get ready, you know, because sometimes they don't even wait to tell you anything. They just open the door and they just march inside with force. And then they come in front of the door and they start shouting, you know, go down, put your face down on the floor, you know, put your hands behind you, things like that. But most of the time, when we used to be back in Camp 1, 2, 3, we refused to lay down on our stomach because your head has to be in the toilet, which is another humiliation. You have to stick your heads with your own self on the toilet just to let them in. And we refuse to do that. So you will be saying, hey, I'm sitting on the bed. They won't accept it. And if you go to the bed, that's mean you are asking for trouble. That's mean you are refusing order. And most of the time they OC you. They spray you with gas, with that pepper spray. For no reason, you're sitting there just waiting for them to come inside. But they won't. And they won't even accept your hands to be shackled. So they spray you in your face, and then they come with the shield so fast, and they just mash you in your face, and they push you down. And then the other guards, they pull you down, throw you on the floor, and they try to pin you down with your face again on the toilet. But now it's against my will. I cannot help it. What can I do? And then they tie you from the back, and they put your legs and they push against your back until they shackle you, and then they pick you up, and then they throw you outside on the floor, which is a very dirty floor, and they flip you back and forth, and they search you and all that, and they keep you in that position for a while. While all this happening, is the camera really filming you? No, it's just looking at the guards. And as soon they come inside, what they start screaming? Stop resisting, stop resisting, which is amazing because you're not really resisting. But then I figure out the whole reason why they say that, because they do a lot of things to you, they choke you and all that. And when you start moving around, so the camera says, oh, he's resisting, so these guys, they're trying to stop him. And then you end up getting hurt and all that, and then the corpsman comes or the nurse look at you and smile. Do you need any help? What do you mean, do I need any help? You see what they are doing to me, and you tell me, do I need any help? And then after that, they keep you in that position. They go inside, they search the cell, and then they take everything out. And then they throw you back in your cell. Sometimes after 1 hour, after 2 hours, after 10, 15 minutes. It varies. It depends how much you were resisting. It depends how much they want to really put you under a lot of pain. After that, they put you with nothing. With nothing. You can be sleeping with nothing for days and days and days. And over what? Over a bag of salt.
Or the stem from an apple.
Or the stem from an apple. Which is amazing. That's why I want somebody, when he hear the story, you're talking about a stem. You're talking about an empty bag of salt. If they are willing to do all this for these little things, so would you think a little bit what they want to do to you because of interrogation, because of, as they say, information? A lot worse than this. And this is on daily basis. This is can happen 5, 6, 7 times a day for the same person. And they won't even give up. They won't even say no. No, they will do it. Because they keep changing guards. They keep, one team goes, another team comes, fresh team. But, I'm still me. And that's the whole goal, is to break you.
Why not give them the stem from the apple to avoid that?
Because first of all, because I felt that's what they want. They want me to submit to them. They want me to be broken. They want me to listen to them, to do everything. And I don't want them to feel that. And that's why as soon they leave the cell, I take the stem out of my mouth and show it to them. As much as they want me to be broken, as much as I want to show them, no, you're not going to break me. In 1 year, in 2012, more than 370, 380 times in 1 year. And I'm talking about sometimes 7, 8 times in one day.
In a statement that you gave to the Metropolitan Police, you said that in 2005 you were effectively sexually assaulted by one of the guards. Could I ask you about that?
I mean, the whole thing about sexual assaulting, because it's different from my perspective, how it happened to me and all that, from a Western society perspective. Because for me, when somebody stick his hand and rub against your private part, when they strip you naked and they do things, that's all sexual harassment. That's even though for them they say it's a search, we're conducting, private search because we believe he's hiding something, and they used to do it a lot. When they see me resisting and we're refusing to do what they want, straight away they said, we're gonna search you. And I know, and most of the time I refuse. And they do the same thing. They FC me and they strip me naked, and it's always been filmed. And I asked them, if they claim that they didn't do it, I asked them, you got the films, you can show the people what you are doing when you doing your search, and let the world judge, is that really a search or that sexual harassment?
I think at one stage you did make friends with ants in your cell, because you tell us why.
After the suicide, as they call it a suicide, the 3 brothers who got killed in 2005 on June, they isolated me by myself on Camp Echo. And they kept me in Camp Echo for 2 years and 10 months in my cell. In those 2 years and 10 months, I went outside only 20 days. 20 days I went outside because they had some brothers, they brought in for me just to go out. For 2 years and 10 months I was in my cell, never left my cell. Never seen the outside. And I ended up making friends with all kind of creatures. One of them is the ants, because they were beautiful, the way they were doing things and all that. I never knew that how much time I can spend with them, but I start watching them, I start learning the different ants, the different colors, the different way of doing things. And it was beautiful because I learned so much. And they became so friendly with me that I do believe that animals, insects, all kind of things, that they do realize us, they do know us. They know the difference between us. But we don't know the difference between them because they are ants. But they know me, they knew me as me. because I used to feed them 3 times a day, put them the food, certain time, and they don't bother me. One time they opened a hole next to my head. I used to sleep on the floor. And they opened a small hole next to my head to cut the space, cut the journey short. I didn't like it because when they come through that hole, sometimes they go over my face and all that, and they wake me up. So I didn't want to know what to do with them because I don't want them to wake me up in the night. So I went and I touched my saliva and I put it on the hole. And I promise you, by Allah, this is a true story, even though sometimes it sounds like... So I put my saliva and I put it and I covered the hole because it's wet. So when they came and they found the saliva, they got scared and they got worried. They start running around, and then they cleaned it, you know. And then I saw them coming back again. Then I said, "Come on, guys, I'm feeding you now. You're bothering me here. I'm waking up all night long for you." So I put again a saliva. Same thing. They ran away and all that. They found like, wow, man, these guys, they don't want to give up. The third day when I did it, you know what they did?
Go on.
They sealed it. They sealed the hole.
Which is what you wanted.
Which is what I wanted. Wallahi, they sealed it. They brought little piece of like rusted metals and things, and they sealed it. They shoved it in there. And I was like, wow, man, they know that I don't want them in there, you know, because, you know, they bother me at night. And that's one of the things that kept me going, you know, that I had somebody to talk to. I had some people to watch, some insect to watch, to give me time to, you know.
And there was a cat
Oh
too,
yeah,
that you looked after.
yeah, that's Amira, princess. And there is a reason why I call her princess, because she's very tacky, you know. She doesn't just eat anything, and she doesn't even go straight to the food. She go and smell it, you know, and go around, and she look at you like, you know, it's not like a big deal. You're not really doing something much for me. And that's why we call her Amira, princess, you know. And she actually, every time Amira and the other cats, we have another cat, Susu, and we have so many of them. They keep hunting them. They keep trapping them and kill them, because it brought so much joy to the brothers. We used to sacrifice so much because of them. A lot of brothers, they used to hide the food, hide the meat, the tuna, and we used to get punished. If you feed them, you get punished. So the brothers used to go through a lot from the early days and all that to feed them.
And I think you fed some birds as well, didn't you?
Oh yeah, all the time. Actually, the birds is a whole different story, because it's a whole effort there. Because I have to sit, collect the bread, and then, you know, I have to break it to small pieces. Then I have to mix it with some jam, because they love sweet stuff. I know from my younghood, I used to have birds, so they love the sweet stuff. So I used to mix it with honey, jam, things like that. And then I have to sneak it out sometimes. But lately, they allow it to happen. But before, they never allowed it.
But these kind of examples you've given, that's, is it fair to say that's bringing some purpose to your daily
You have
life?
to. You have to. Especially for someone like me who's been isolated all the times. I have to find something, someone to talk to play with. And I used to do that with the animals, with birds and all that. And it came in the time, you know, feeding them all that time. The time came when I was over the world with it. You know, I didn't even care anymore to be there forever, because they used to come and just sit with me, you know, just on my shoulder, on my, you know, the ravens, which is a very smart bird. They used to come and sit with me, actually, you know, and just eat from my hand, which is, it makes you come out from Guantanamo completely. You
referred to the deaths of 3 detainees. You said they took their own life. You used speech marks.
That's what they said. But for me, they commit a suicide or they've been killed. It's all the blame to the administration.
But what do you know about what happened on that day?
I was isolated at that time. And I was in my cell. Around 11 o'clock, they came to me. And they said, we have to have your retina scan and your fingerprints. And we have to take a photo. I never used to give him these things. Until today, I did not give it to them, especially the photo. I said, you know, guys, I will never take a photo. And if you want to take a photo while my eyes is closed, that's fine with me. Suddenly, I saw some guards came, but not from the army, wearing navy clothes. And they came, they FCE me, and they took me, and they tied me to the feeding chair. And that's when they start with the torture. They start beating my leg, they start, you know, pinching me, they start sticking their fingers in my eyes, they start, you know, all the pressure points and all that. And I'm screaming, and they said, you know, give us the picture, give us the fingerprints, give us the retina scan. And then they brought a big mag light for 2.5 hours, non-stop. And the mag light is completely inside my eye with that, the big one with the heat and all that, which is, I have something called floaters now, maybe because of it. Anyway, in the end of the day, they succeeded to take the retina scan and the fingerprints, because they tried to break my finger so many times. But they couldn't succeed with the picture. At that day, when they finished what they were doing, I remember saying one thing. One thing I told him. I said, all what she did to me, I promise you is not gonna go away. And the day will come when you regret doing this to me. And they put me back to my cell. Next day, I was just sleeping and suddenly I see them running to me and FCE me again and throw me in another cell. For a whole month, I've been under a lot of pressure, and I didn't understand what's going on. I didn't do nothing. And after 1 month, Clive sent me a letter.
This is your lawyer?
My lawyer, Clive Smith. And he's telling me in the letter that, you know, I'm sorry about the 3 brothers that you lost. And I didn't even know about them. I didn't even know that I lost 3 brothers. And then I realized all what happened that month because of this.
But why would 3 detainees take their lives at the same time on the same day?
Honestly, I cannot give you a short answer because there is a reason behind a lot of things happened there. And I'll promise you again, when the time is right, I will tell you the full story about these three brothers. Because I'm sure there is a lot of people who have interest, even though I've been accused of having something with it. But I promise you, when the time happened, I wasn't even there.
But someone accused you of having some influence over these 3?
If I was there, the only influence I have is I'm going to stop him from doing it.
It has been suggested to me that it could have been about a pact that the 3 had made to take their own lives, to draw the world's attention back to what was going on at Guantanamo Bay.
That's if we believe they committed suicide, not being killed.
What's your view?
The same thing. We will leave that to where I can tell the full story so nobody miss exactly why it happened and how it happened, because it involved a lot of other things, you know, that I cannot really talk about it at this time.
You were cleared for release twice while you were inside Guantanamo Bay, once under President Bush in 2007, once under President Obama in 2009. How did you come to terms with the fact that you had been cleared for release, but it didn't subsequently happen?
The first time when I got cleared and they came to me to send me to Saudi Arabia, I thought really it was my fault refusing to go back to Saudi Arabia. And I felt like it doesn't matter. If really I care for my wife and my kids, I want to be with them, I know I'm going to sacrifice. I have to sacrifice. So I thought it's going to be like a short time, you know. I thought maybe a few months and then they will say, hey, this guy's not going to go back to Saudi Arabia, just send him to Britain. Because I'm already cleared. I mean, but 1 year passed. And then they came back again to me in 2009 and they told me, you are leaving again. Yet I felt like this time, I'm sure these guys, they want me to go to Saudi Arabia and they have nothing to do with anything that I pose threat. Let me just tell them that I need to go back to my wife and my kids. Again, I refused. And again, I felt like it's not going to be long. Why? Because Obama promised to close this place. So I thought, you know, it's not going to be long before I'm going to be released.
But you could have been free in Saudi Arabia.
Yes.
Your wife and children could have joined you there.
That's the whole thing. I never believed that it's going to be easy for them to join me. That's one thing. The second thing, I knew the American told so much rubbish about me that it might put me in jail in Saudi Arabia for a long time. Or maybe the American conditioned Saudi Arabia to put me in jail. So I wasn't going to sacrifice, you know, my freedom to go and start another life in jail. Especially that my wife waited for me all these years. So I felt obliged that I'm not going to go anywhere but to my wife and my kids. Especially when I felt like, hey, they cleared me twice. Obama promised to close the place, so it's not going to be long. But somehow, 1 year dragged another year dragged another year, and I'm sitting there, and after 8 years, I've been cleared. I was sitting there.
Why then? Why do you believe that you continued to be detained without charge and therefore without trial for in total 5,008 days. Why?
Because I think the most important thing that we have to understand here, that I haven't done anything wrong.
So why?
And the American knows I haven't done anything wrong.
Some of the things that you have described happened to you at Guantanamo Bay were initially approved by the then US Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld and then rescinded several months later. He withdrew permission to use the kind of things that had happened to you. Yet you're saying that kind of mistreatment continued months, if not years, after Mr. Rumsfeld had apparently withdrawn his permission for use of them at Guantanamo.
You see, the whole thing about Guantanamo, people have to understand this, because it's closed down from the public, because nobody can really understand what's going on there, because nobody can see what's going on there. Nobody can ask detainees, nobody can talk to the human being. And every time somebody comes there, it's totally staged. It's totally been prepared. They know nobody can touch them. Not long ago, few months ago, people have been thrown in that place where I called you Echo 5 with nothing, in the freezing cold. And these guys, they were hunger striker. These guys, some of them, they weigh under 100 pounds. And by Allah, they are sitting in there for a week with nothing. So there is no such thing in old Guantanamo, new Guantanamo. That was in the past. This is the future. They did it. We don't agree with it because it was wrong. Now that, no, it's not. It's still happening. It's still happening. People still getting frozen. If they complain, if they start shouting, they freeze them to death. They turn the air condition all the way and people start shaking all night long, all day long. They can't sleep. What do you call that? Is that torture? When a man's starving, the guy cannot eat the food because of allergies, because of his stomach, and then you ask for an apple, and they refuse to give it to you, and they said, I'm sorry, SOP says I cannot give it to you, and he throw it in front of you in the garbage. Clothes, there is no clothes, there is no food, there is no detergent, there is no toothpaste, and it's very sad to talk about that, but it's important. It is important when somebody's sitting there, he cannot even find basics. And then you're telling me we treat them like we treat our guards? A load of lies and after lies and after lies. And it's very sad. It's weak, sitting there just trying to defeat them and telling the world this is lies. You will never end. You will never end.
In the 14 years you were there, did they break your spirit?
Break my spirit, I can assure you no. But did I get tired? Did I get sick of what I'm doing? Did I feel like I need to stop? Yes. Many times I felt like that's it. But like I told you, for the reason, alhamdulillah, thank God, the faith I have, the belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's watching, God is watching, He knows what's happening to me. It gave me the strength to carry on. Plus, and this is with me personally, and I'm proud to say that I was involved in the outside world. I was involved in writing and I get feedback. And every time I want to give up, I can't. Because I used to tell myself, how can you give up? All these people, they're going every, Joy, Harkom, Juwan, Andy, and all these Safe Shakir, Stand with Shakir. Truly, I couldn't believe it. I cried one day because Juwan, they asked Juwan, he said, Juwan, when you're going to stop doing what you are doing? And I read that article and I cried because she said, I will never stop until that man comes out.
Did you think you would get out?
Yes. Yes. I had no doubt from day one I will be out, because I have no doubt that I did not do anything wrong to deserve what happened. And I know justice will prevail. Years after years after years, justice will prevail. It took 27 years with Nelson Mandela to get out and to be the president of his country. It took me only 14 years to prove to the world that I am the good person and they are the bad people. I got more people who loves me right now than before. I got more people who care for me and come and hugs me, and it's unbelievable. In the street, seeing a guy just, you are the last Guantanamo, and he just hugged me. I don't think they enjoy that feeling. I don't think they would love to see that happening to me, but it's overwhelming. I call that success. And that's why I kept going, because I refused to give up, because I've seen all these people working so hard for me. So I shouldn't disappoint me. If I'm in one cell, my food comes to me, everything comes to me, and I just need to speak, I just need to write, I need to struggle. And they need to do a lot more than me. And it keeps going, it keeps going.
Will Guantanamo Bay ever close, in your opinion?
Yes.
When?
When the world knows the truth about it.
When will that be?
Very soon, hopefully. Isn't that what we're doing? Telling the truth about Guantanamo? Telling the world that what happened in Guantanamo 12, 13 years ago is still happening at this time? There is no humane thing about the system. There is no feelings in the system. It's just a system. And whatever they are doing it because it's a system. And nothing changed until we stop that system doing what they are doing. And I don't think that's gonna happen as long my brothers is under the military command. I don't think it will ever happen. As long they are the one who's in control of Guantanamo, they will never have any justice in that place. And no matter how much they swear and they said we are doing the right thing, they will never do the right thing for one reason. They get told what to do.
So does that mean you don't think President Obama will close it?
He can.
Or the next president?
No, he can. He can close it if he wants to. It's still open because, like I told you, it's the way the story has to be told. People have to understand that Guantanamo did not change. It just went through phases. And the more it goes, it's the more enhanced. The more they cover it up, the more they do their things secretly so nobody knows exactly what's happening. I will give you an example. From the floodlight generators, which is a huge big machine running 24/7, which is everybody can obviously see that they are doing it because of the noise, to a hidden noise, what they call the white noise. You will be sitting in your cell and you will hear that constant noise which drive you crazy.
But actually the loud music, you didn't mind, did you?
Sometimes, because they used to hate it. When I listened to I used to sing with it. I used to, because...
Can you remember the lyrics
I remember
of the song that
yes,
you
because
loved?
I did live at that time. I was a teenager, just like any American teenager. I was typically an American teenager. I wasn't grown up to be a typical Saudi Arabian teenager. No, I was a total American teenager, listening to rock, hard rock, and listening to American music and, following American way of life.
And what lyrics from Whitesnake gave you consolation in Guantanamo Bay?
I mean, I'm sure everybody will laugh when hear it because I used to sing it a lot. Because the words, I thought the words, it fits me. The words makes me feel like, yeah, it's me again, which is a white snake. It's here I go again. The words goes, here I go again on my own, going down the only road I never known. Like a drifter, I was born to walk alone, because I know what it means to walk alone in only street of dreams. And here I go again. And it's true, because it's just dreams. Dreams that I will be home one day, dreams that I will be free, dreams that Guantanamo will be closed.
And what do you say to those critics who even now say, you must have been a security risk. That's why the Americans kept you locked up for so long.
I'm here. Everybody knows me now. Everybody sees me walking in the street. And I'm sure time will prove that I'm not a risk.
How much do you think what happened to you and others at Guantanamo Bay is responsible for the growth of Islamist extremism?
Our problem is always asking about things like where, how, when, how they did it. But we never ask why they done it.
But is there a link between the way you and others were treated there and what we see now?
I'm sure there is a link, but we have to understand there is a reason why it happens. There is a reason, first of all, why these people came about, whoever is doing these acts. We have to understand there is a reason. And the great reason that we all agree on is injustice. So injustice breed all this anger. The anger breed all these horrible things that to happen after, because people want to...
So it has acted as a recruiting sergeant?
Definitely. And I think if I really don't want to go into politics because we'll never end. But the American government or the system has to understand they are behind a lot of things happening right now. Horrible things happening in the world. They are responsible for. And that has to change, that has to stop. And the only way I believe is going to stop is by starting from the beginning. Go before 9/11, why 9/11 happens, and then take it from there until we get to Guantanamo. And when we get to Guantanamo and close it down, then we will see that there is a lot of things going to change eventually. It might take time, but it will change, because justice will bring justice, and injustice will bring injustice.
Is part of your pursuit of justice, will part of your pursuit of justice be pursuing legal action against the British government?
No.
You're not going to take legal action against the British government?
No, not at all.
Why not?
Because I don't believe that the court will solve this problem. I don't believe the court will bring justice because of what happened in the past.
And you're not interested in compensation?
The compensation issue, really, I can't talk about it for many reasons, and that's why that's beside the points. That I do not want to prosecute anybody. I don't want anybody to be, asked about what his role in the past. I just want people to tell the truth. I'm doing it right now, so we can really understand what happened and stop it from happening again. And also for Guantanamo to end, people have to understand what's horrible things happening right now in Guantanamo. It's happening as we speak. People are humiliated. People are suffering as we speak, and that has to stop. And I don't think going around following the legal action is. I don't think I came out from Guantanamo because you guys or my lawyers really follow the legal procedures. I came out because of the pressure is being built because of the people around the world.
Tell us about your health now.
I know that I'm suffering a lot of, sicknesses, a lot of ailment because of what happened in Guantanamo, and they are chronic.
Like, do you mind me asking?
Like biting edema. I cannot touch any salt. If I eat anything with salt, straight away I will inflate, and I will have so much water in my legs and goes up. I have ulcer. I have chronic constipation. I have ringing in my ears. I have a problem with the light, and it gives me headache, which is really starting. I have a lot of things, I don't sleep enough. I hardly can, can just, act like a normal person yet, because still everything for me is like a new experience, and I know it's gonna take time before everything goes back to normal. With the ailments and all that, I'm sure I'm gonna just live with it. But I cannot go back to what I used to be, But I'm trying to exercise, I'm trying to do yoga, I'm trying to do my best just to get back, because I got kids that I want to enjoy another 20, 30 years with them. And that's why I'm trying to do my best to stay healthy, even though I know things is not going to change, but I will just live with it, and I'll try to deal with it. But my main message is not about me again. It's about those people behind me, that they're really waiting to see change is happening, and they are waiting for me to speak in their behalf, because that's what I've been doing for the past 14 years. Okay. And that's why, guys, I came and talked to you freely, under no obligations, that, hey, I need your help, guys. I asked you from the first time I saw you, I said, I need your help. I need you to please let me tell the world the truth about Guantanamo. Let them know exactly what's happening, because the world has the right to understand what's happening at this time.
Okay.
And I hope that I did something, and I'm still gonna carry on doing it until, for God will, I will close that place. I will do my best to close that place, and I'm willing to go to Guantanamo back again. If they need me to go back to help them to close that place, by Allah, I will go back. If they want me to do anything, to guarantees anything for them, I will do my best to assure them that these brothers, they need to go home. That's all. They need to live with their families in peace. And they just let them, they have to let them do it.